Okay, today I'm going to show you how we fit the Slimline Universal lock to a typically UPVC door or a door that's got an existing multi-point lock. This is one where if you crank the handle up, the hooks come out and they retract. It's fairly straightforward. So the first thing we do is remove the Euro cylinder, the keyed Euro cylinder. We're not going to need this again because the Slimline Universal has its own built-in key lock. What we're going to do is just leave the spindle on there. Okay, the first thing we need to do is just test that the existing multi-point is compatible with the Slimline. You get a lot of multi-points that have got double spindles, and we found that some of them are not compatible. So it's really important you carry out this compatibility test before we drill any holes. So what to do, on the inside of the door, take the inside handle set. Make sure the handle's on the right way. It might be maybe facing this way. To change it, all you do is put a Phillips screwdriver in here, undo the screw, pull the handle off, turn it around and tighten it back up, and do it to both handles. So what we do is we hold this on where it would be and just hold it in position like so, and then crank up the handle all the way and then let go. Now take the handle off and we take the outside handle, and you'll see on here there's a little arrow pointing. For this test we want to turn the arrow so it's facing away from the handle. And then what we do is we offer it on the outside and just hold the lock straight in your hand on with the frame. Now we're going to try the handle all the way down. And what we're trying to make sure is that these pins, these hooks or rollers retract all the way down. That's all the way down. They've retracted all the way, so we're good to go. So what to do is, it's really important. Now turn the arrow back so that it's facing the direction of the handle. That's really important when we come to install the lock later on. Okay, so the next step is we need to take the spindle out, and we need to take the whole mechanism out because we need to see where we're going to put the cables, and there's a couple of additional holes to drill in the door. So I've taken most of the screws out already, so we'll just remove the rest of the screws. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this on the floor and we're going to offer up the lock we checked for alignment. Okay, so with the multi-point on the floor, we just need to check a couple of things to make sure that the lock will fit and where to put the cables. So if we line up the spindle with the spindle here, we can see that the lower fixing bolt will go through the existing hole for the Euro mortise. And on the top side, we've got loads of space here for the top bolt, which is adjustable, and we've also got space for the cable. A lot of these multi-points have this recess part here, which means the bolt could go right down here. Some of them will be up here with a long slot, but we just need to make sure we've got loads of space here. So what we're going to do now is we go back to the door. We just need to put some masking tape and mark up the back set distance. So if we just, I'm setting this setting out square just in the central line of the lock, and then if we offer up our template, just very roughly, the spindle is around about here. One thing to be aware of is that the lock case may not cover the bottom hole. A lot of these holes are a standard 10mm, and we provide white plugs and you can get brown plugs. This one unfortunately is slightly bigger than 10mm, so we don't have a larger plug here to plug it, but just be aware that that may need to be filled. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll put the multi-point back in so we can mark up the door like so. We can see the spindles up here. So what we're going to do is apply some tape. And I'm just going to mark the line of the spindle. And we'll do the same on the other side. Do the same here. Spindles about there. What we're going to do is, there's already an existing hole here. We're going to use that for the bolt. So if we align the template back up, the spindle with the spindle, like so, we can see that this hole here is perfect for the top bolt. So we only need to drill one other hole for the cable. So we're going to do it about there. So that will be the hole that we need. We'll do the same on the other side. Line up the spindle, put that there, and that will be the hole for the cable. Okay? What I'm going to do now is put some more masking tape on. I'm just going to do the same on the other side. Okay, before we drill the holes, we'll just pop the multi-point back out. For the cable hole, we recommend about a 16mm diameter hole. I don't have a 16mm bit here, so I'm going to drill a 10 and then use a step drill. Do both sides. In fact, this one's got a steel plate in it, so we're going to have to drill out the steel. We'll drill that out and we'll come back to this in a minute. We've drilled the top hole. What we're going to do is take the masking tape off. One thing we need to make sure that this hole is big enough for this piece here, so we recommend a 25mm diameter hole. I think it's going to be all right. What we'll do is put the mechanism back in. No, it needs ever so slightly more. So we'll drill this out and we'll come back in a second. Okay, so we drilled out with a step drill and just made this a little bit bigger. Seems to be fine now. So if I put the spindle in and I offer up the lock, it will fit all the way in, which is what we need. So what we will do, the lock comes with two different lengths of spindle. We're going to need the longer one for this door here. This one would be too short. It's got a little hole in the end, and there's for a split pin. So we've got a split pin here. It's important you fit this split pin, otherwise the spindle could come out. So we'll go ahead and fit this and we'll come back in a second. Okay, we fitted the spindle with the split pin. we now need to set the height of this top bolt. So what we do here is we've got two threaded inserts. One goes on the bottom. This other one you screw like so, and you insert it. And you just set it roughly about there. And what to do is just offer this in, although this is on the wrong side, just want to get the alignment of the top bolt. So you can see here it's too high. So if I slacken it off slightly, that seems about right. And then we'll just tighten that up. Okay, now we're ready to fit the outside handle. Again, just make sure that the arrow is pointing towards the handle. Now they come with these rubber gaskets. I'm not going to fit these because they're a little bit fiddly, but basically the rubber gasket just fits over the lock body. I use a bit of masking tape to hold them in place and then take the masking tape off after you've got it in. I'm just going to discard that for now. So what we want to do is thread the connector cable all the way through and align the spindle like so. That's fitting on there nicely. Now the lock comes with three lengths of screws. In this case we're going to need the two longer screws to secure the lock. Right, we'll come back to that in a second because we need to prep the battery pack. Okay, we've got the battery pack. We're just going to take the cover off where the batteries go. And we'll see there, we've got the sliding part where the fixing goes and the connector cable. So all we want to do now is connect up the cable and then try and push some of this connecting cable back into that hole without damaging it. This is why maybe making the hole bigger can make life a little bit easier. And then we locate the spindle like so. Then the big long bolt is the one that goes on the bottom. We won't do it all the way. And then the shorter one, I can just see that through there. This sometimes can be a little bit tricky. I think we got it there. We're just missing it slightly. I'm going to fix this and we'll come back to this in a second. Okay, we've secured the handle on and it's working the latch. Take the handle up, it's throwing the hook. The next step is to power it up. So it takes 4 AAA batteries. Unfortunately we can't supply these because we're not allowed to ship them. Put the batteries in. I heard it beep there, so it's got power. We'll put the cover on. It's a wrong screwdriver. Okay, now if we go to the outside, by default, all these locks will do nothing. The handle is inactive. It doesn't do anything. Now to test the lock, there's no test code. What you need to do, the easiest way, is to use one of the MyFair credentials to test. So what we do is if we open up the SmartLock app and we click on Add Lock, and we press any button on the keypad, and then click Next. It's found the lock, and we just click the plus button.
Adding administrator successful.
Simple as that. It's connected. We'll just leave the name, but you would obviously give that the name of the property, front door, back door, or whatever. We'll click OK. And then what we would do, let's go back. The lock is listed here. We choose it, and we go to IC cards, add IC card. It's a permanent, we'll give it a name, just test, click Next, and then we'll offer up the fob when asked to.
Please swipe your card. Input successful.
And that's it. Then we can go back. Don't need the app for now. So now the MyFair card has got the credential on it. When we hold it up to the reader, it should activate the handle. Unlocked. And now the handle works.
Locked. Unlocked. Locked.
A great feature of the Slimline Universal is the fact that you no longer have to lock the door with the key, in that when you pull this door shut, it's always locked from the outside, albeit just on the latch. But the great thing is, at any time, for extra security, you can throw the handle up. So if I throw the handle up now, it throws the hooks and the rollers. But from the outside, again, it's still locked. Similarly, if I were leaving the house and I shut the door, it will be locked on the latch. I can crank the handle up from the outside, and it will throw the hooks. But when I pull the handle down, it remains locked. So it's a really good security feature. And this lock, just to recap, supports PIN codes, prox cards like this. You can unlock it from the app. You can connect it to our Wi-Fi gateway, and you can control it remotely. It will also work with NFC on Android, although there are a few caveats to that, which I won't go into. Yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing I forgot to do was to fix the screws back on. Obviously, you would fix the screws back on to the multi-point. Oh yeah, one last thing. The emergency key override. Each lock is supplied with 3 fobs, 3 keys, and there's a little plastic sucker. Where's it gone? Ah, here it is. This little plastic sucker is for taking the hidden key compartment. Take that off. Put the key in, turn the key, and it activates the lock. And that's the emergency key override. In addition, there's also a little USB 5-volt input for an emergency power supply, which obviously could be useful if you didn't have the keys and the lock had run out of batteries. Sorry, one last thing I didn't mention. This particular model's got a fingerprint sensor. Again, very easy to set up within the app. In fact, we could do it now. I'll open up the app. Fingerprints, add fingerprint. My hand's maybe a little bit greasy. We'll click start.
Please press again. Please press again. Please press again. Input successful.
Okay, so if the door was locked, come up to the lock.
Unlocked.
And it unlocks. Excellent. The keypad has a little protective film on it which you can peel off once you've finished the installation. That's pretty much it for the Universal. Where we've got SLAM multi-points, we don't recommend fitting the Universal. You should really fit our automatic Slimline because it's designed specifically for SLAM multi-points. So always bear that in mind.